So you're at a career crossroads. Do you try to move up in the same company? Do you change careers? Do you go to a different company? Do you give up on trying to move up? And specifically, if you're nearing or at an executive level, do you need an executive coach? So in this video, we're going to cover when you might need an executive coach, what questions to ask, and how to determine if the timing is right. Because it is an investment in you, but it is not an inexpensive investment. So let's get into it. I'm Erin and I talk about all things business, career growth, and personal development. So first things first, I have a couple of experiences that I'd like to share with you, and I also have an amazingly talented executive coach who has helped me immensely over the last 4 or 5 years, and I will be introducing her and what she does in this video. Not sponsored in any way, but I couldn't think of a better person to reach out to when the question was posed to me by one of you who saw a previous video and asked for advice on this topic. So you'll be hearing from her in a little bit. She sent me a script and I'll share her name and contact info and an amazing event that she does a couple times a year that I highly recommend. All right, so for me, there were a couple times where I could have used an executive coach. In the first case, I did not have one, and I really, maybe it would have been helpful. I know it would have been helpful actually earlier in my career to have one, but I wasn't at a point where salary-wise or just with like personal family expenses that I was in a position to do that, and my company was not in a position to pay for it. So one of the things about executive coaches is that once you reach a level in your organization where an executive coach is probably the right next step for you to take on your learning path and continued development, a lot of companies that are substantial in size will very often pay for this on behalf of the executive. And I was fortunate that this happened the second time in my career that I knew I would benefit from an executive coach. So the first time in my career, I took some advice from my manager. It was well-intended advice, but it led me astray, and it essentially stalled my career for a good 5 or 6 years. And I think if I would have had an executive coach at that time, or even just really a coach that had an understanding of career and business and kind of how to unlock your career growth or how to think about what's coming next, I think that would have massively helped me. And I didn't necessarily need it to be an executive coach at the time. I just needed it to be somebody who had a great deal of experience and was not giving me recommendations based on what they would do in their own personal life, but helping me think through what would be best in my life. It's a great thing to think about at whatever stage you're at, is who is the person or people around you that can help you and understand and are willing to spend the time to understand you well enough to know that they're not giving you advice that they want to take themselves, but they're really kind of giving you things to think about in terms of what you want your future to look like in the next 6 months to 5 years to 10 years, or maybe where you're getting to if you have where you want to get to if you have a really big dream. All right. That said, the second time that I needed an executive coach, I was a director and I was having some tough times in the workplace with some things going on, and I really started feeling very unsure about where I wanted to go in my career. Did I want to stay a director? Did I want to do something else? Did I want to, so for example, stay a director, keep doing what I'm doing, climb further in the corporate ladder, and if so, what? Or stay a director and kind of do something else in a different department or area of the business. So to what degree did I want to stay the same or change? And if I wanted to change, to what degree did I want to change? And also to work through and kind of level myself up on some of the things that I knew I was struggling with and that I would provide more value if I was better at, and that I had a vested interest in getting better at, but I needed somebody outside of people that were already champions of me. I needed somebody that only had a vested interest in me working on leveling up, and that it wasn't a benefit to them anymore, or in so much as, hey, they were getting paid to provide great coaching, executive coaching. And that is when the company that I was at did pay for coaching sessions for executive coach for me, and I was able to have coaching sessions for a couple of years. Since then, I have continued to have that exact same coach over the course of the last couple of years that I'm no longer at the company and out on my own, because she is invaluable. All right. When we started out working together, I was simply trying to navigate how I wanted to go forward and what I wanted next in my journey in my professional world, in terms of professionally being, what did I want to be known for? How did I want to show up? Was that changing? Was it staying the same? How can I make the most impact? All of those things were questions in my mind. And with her coaching, I helped myself sort those things out. Ultimately, I ended up leaving the corporate world, as many of you know if you've been watching this channel for a little bit. Neither here nor there, and that was for very personal reasons. But at the same time, some of the conversations that we had while coaching came back to me after I had left, and I was thinking about, what do I want to do next? And that is part and parcel why I have not returned to the corporate world, and that I instead do training and make videos like this and help other people unlock and get unstuck in group formats. Given that, I'd like to take a moment and introduce Sarah Devereaux, and she co-runs a program called FLOURISH, which is twice a year. I believe it is a retreat. And so I'll just I'll just pop somewhere up here on the screen a little bit of info about that. They are doing one, I believe, coming up in October of this year, 2024, and they will be doing one in the spring. So I would highly suggest that you sign up for notifications to find out what those dates are. I myself am planning with a few other female executives to attend in the spring. Schedules aligning. I have not been able to attend her past couple, but I have insider knowledge that they have been very, very amazing. And again, she's been my coach for a number of years. So something to take advantage of if you are serious, and it might be a way of dipping into the pool of executive coaching for a quick couple of days rather than a longer commitment, if that's something that you want to explore. I know October is sold out and that there's already a wait list forming, so don't delay on that. So in the meantime, while I go over the advice that she's got, I will try to pop some information up on screen about that and about her coaching website and a few other bits and bobs. Without further ado, here is Sarah's advice. Hiring an executive coach can be really helpful when you feel like you're at a crossroads in your career and not sure which way to turn. Executive coaches can help you clarify your vision, goals, and priorities so that you're working towards a future that fits the rhythm of life that you want to create for yourself. And I think that's a really important point that she's bringing up there, because this is about taking your career and having to be very important to you, but not so important that it eclipses how you're living your life and how you're showing up, but really how do those come into alignment together. An executive coach can also help you identify blockers or obstacles that might be holding you back from achieving your goals, and will work with you on strategies to overcome them. These blockers might be external, from an unsupportive leader, biases at work, personal commitments, or other restrictions. Or they might be internal, insecurities, limiting beliefs, etc. In my case, it was internal with some external. And I think I'm going to guess that in all likelihood for most of us, it's some combination. Perhaps not an even mix, but some combination of both. It's not usually one little thing and then you get past that and then you're on your merry way. I think it's a whole heap of things that maybe stack up over time, and you reach a point where you say, you know what, it's worth me investing in myself right now to get unstuck from where I'm at. So that's my personal little insert in there. Let's keep going. After you've identified what's holding you back, your coach can support you in crafting a strategy for overcoming these obstacles and making progress towards your vision and your goals. If you're feeling stuck, unfocused, or uncertain about how to take your career forward, an executive coach can help you navigate that uncertainty and come up with a way forward that you can be confident in. When choosing an executive coach, you want to ensure you are choosing someone who has the skills, experience, and approach that will best match what you're seeking to achieve. So for me, this was really important when I was thinking about an executive coach. And for me, Sarah has been a great executive coach because she didn't start out as an executive coach or a business coach or any of the other types of coaches that are out there. She actually started out with a career not too dissimilar of mine, where she was a female in the workplace, climbing the corporate ladder, having small children, etc., etc. And she had risen to the ranks of VP, and I was a director at the time, asking myself, what's next? So she had been on the journey that I had been on, and I knew that she would have a depth of understanding for some of the struggles that I might be going through, even if she hadn't gone through the exact same ones. So that was something that I was looking for, or I quickly realized that I was looking for in our first conversation. So here's Sarah's advice on what are some critical questions that you should be asking a prospective executive coach before hiring them. The key here is to ensure that they are the best coach for you. Not the best coach for me, not the best coach for your friend, not the best coach for another leader at work, but the best coach for you. And I've got 5 questions. What type of coaching do you practice? What are some of the approaches and techniques that you use? Second, who are your best clients? What are some of the things they have in common? Number 3, have you had clients that were not a good fit for your approach? If so, why was that the case? Number 4, have you had personal experience with the challenge I'm facing? If so, could you tell me a bit more about that? And this one for me was the key, going back to what I said earlier about she'd been there, done that. And number 5, what are some of your core beliefs when it comes to career and work? I'm curious how these align with my own beliefs. And I love that one because I quickly found out in our first conversation whether we were exploring if we were a good fit. She was exploring whether or not I was potentially a good client, and I was exploring whether or not she was going to be a good fit for me. And we quickly did discover that our core beliefs were very similar about work and life, and that was part of what helped my decision. Not every coach is the right coach for you, so it's really important, and I want to emphasize here, fit is a key when selecting the right coach if you're going to go down that route. I would say from a price perspective, I would work with your leadership team, your manager, your HR department to see if your company will pay for some executive coaching sessions for you rather than trying to foot the bill initially. I think that companies who see hypos, that's high performance leaders, are generally willing to set aside some budget for that. Most departments have training budget, and if you're a leader, you probably are actually in charge of that budget, or your direct line manager would have some budget for that, and you could have a conversation with them. I would still say if you are dead set on having an executive coach and your company doesn't have the budget, maybe it's a small company, or you know that you're not going to be there in the long run, and this is actually a conversation that you want to have about exiting, going to a different company, and you feel like you want to really separate the two things, then my suggestion would be to go out and find an executive coach outside of the workplace. But still, I would emphasize fit, and I would have the expectation that your coaching would run anywhere from $150 to $200 on the low end, and that's probably if you hire a group service and you're assigned a coach. Again, not what I would recommend, but it's certainly possible if that is where your budget is at. Just be aware of the risk factors around fit, and then upwards of $500 to $800. And I would imagine, well, definitely some coaches out there run more than that, and those are usually kind of the celebrity coaches. I think the additional thing that I would say about finding the right coach, or one additional tip that I would offer, is to make sure that you feel comfortable discussing things that you might not feel comfortable discussing with anybody else. So these are things that you're going to discuss around your future hopes and dreams, and the coach is going to need to be able to hold space and have empathy and compassion while also pushing you down the path that you want to go down. So that helping hand that is unbiased and is looking out for helping you get to where you are going. An executive coach is not a therapist and not your friend. An executive coach is there to hear what your goals are and help you unlock whatever's holding you back. And that's going to be addressing some of your weaknesses, or making some of your strengths stronger, or maybe it's even identifying what those are, or helping you get rid of some limiting beliefs. As you consider whether or not an executive coach might be right for you, there's one other thing that I want to mention. I have updated my website and I now have a 5 things you should stop doing if you want to get promoted guide that is on the homepage. So you can head there at erintran.com. Again, that's 5 things you should stop doing if you want to get promoted. And I wanted to create this guide about what you should not be doing or stop doing, because we are constantly inundated with do this, do that, and adding one more thing to your plate in order to get promoted did not seem like the right approach to take. So I would say take these 5 things off your plate, stop doing them, free up the time that you might be spending on them, and stop doing these things, and start paving your path towards getting promoted or possibly getting unstuck from work. I think that most of them are applicable if that is the route that you're trying to take as well. These are all actionable things that you can do starting immediately, so they're not items which you need to plan for. They are quick stop doings and a shifting of your mindset to focus on the right things. So going back to the very beginning of the video, if you are thinking about your career and you are wanting to reach for an executive level, or you are at an executive level, I would say now is the right time to think about whether or not an executive coach is the right person or role to have around you. Kind of think about that circle of the 5 people that are around you, whether or not one of those should be an executive coach to help you create the goals that you want for your future. I know it certainly helped me, but that does not mean that it's right for everyone. All right, I will leave all of Sarah's information to Flourish, as well as her coaching website and her LinkedIn, in the description box. And I do hope you reach out if you feel like you are similar to me or at a similar place in your career as I was when I reached out to her a few years back, because she is amazing and there are a lot of amazing executive coaches out there as well. However, not everyone is going to be a fit for you, and you are the only one who will know the truth of that when you meet with the executive coach and you do that initial interview to check for fit. I will also leave the 5 questions in the description box, so you can grab those and copy and paste them and be on your way. As always, thank you for watching. Take care, stay true to yourself, and I make videos on what you comment about. So drop me a comment on what types of videos you would like to see. Bye.